Hello, this is just a video that goes along with this blog post that I just made for y'all. Prior experience, the company went bankrupt, but they've manufactured I think like almost 1,000 food trucks or trailers. So the trailers themselves were good quality. They went bankrupt for different reasons. But that's the experience I have is that for food truck exhaust hood, there's not much information online except for a few videos from Frank Valtierrez and a few other guys. But just to help you out is yeah, I've had prior experience. I did a lot of ordering. I've helped the guys out. I was not one of the people who worked directing the trailers most of the time. I I ordered all the parts. I've worked with them. I actually had to know the back end because I had to understand all the fire suppression, the regulations and everything because I had to know exactly what to order and why to order it because some states are different. Um, and then you have different requirements for CFMs. So I know what I'm talking about. The actual install itself, I've also even said it later in this blog post. You're gonna have to watch it from someone else. I would recommend you actually hire someone to do the final installation because this thing it doesn't weigh too much when it's just the empty carcass without the all the parts in it. But it's still 150, 200 pounds, and if you fuck up, you can get seriously hurt. So I'd rather you don't take advice from me because I haven't personally done it. I did it once. I helped someone uh, load it up, but I didn't like do the whole process. But the actual getting the right stuff to getting the stuff um, to meet regulation, I do actually know that because these guys who are working the trips, the only thing they know is that I give them the exact parts they want and they just install it. They don't know anything about it. They don't know the name. In fact, most of them only spoke Spanish, so they're just doing what they're told. I know more of the specifications kind of stuff. So going over this, you're going to need something called concession hood. Type 1 is for grease. I don't need a type 2 because every single food truck I've ever seen, unless it's an ice cream truck, um, and then some for like Universal and Disney, those ones might not have cooking equipment in them sometimes. Sometimes they have a kitchen separate from the food truck, and then they bring the food and they load it up with a bunch of holding equipment inside there, so they don't actually do any cooking inside of it. Aside from those, for anyone, which is 99% of you watching this video today, you are a small business. Maybe you've never even done this before. Even you have some kitchen experience, but this is your first food truck or trailer. Um, so you need to know these specifications. You need concession hood type 1, which means it's for cooking equipment underneath. Type 2 is only for steam and heat, which in your case will not happen because you're definitely going to have a 2 burner, a griddle. It doesn't matter if it's electric or gas. You need a concession hood. Okay? It's not going to make a difference. But because I'm very technical, it is specifically called a low ceiling sloped front exhaust hood. And then just so you can see, I mean, y'all probably looked up videos prior to this and seen a few um, pictures at least. Maybe, and I do recommend you actually go talk to someone in your local area who has a food truck. As long as you guys don't get into a fist fight because now you're competitors maybe. But it's good to actually like work in a food truck or see what other people have. So this type of hood is the one you want to use a food truck because typical kitchen ones in regular restaurants, you don't have the slope here. It's just a full rectangle and it's usually a lot bigger. So you have your actual hood and then you have your exhaust fan right here. Going back over to here, you're going to want this type because yes, other ones are also double, triple the price. So just for example, if say you're just like, oh, I don't want that, even though it would make no sense. Let's swap over to a standard exhaust hood or exhaust canopy that they call them. 6 foot. You went from the 23. Well, that one was like 1900 up to 3400. Point is, it's pointless. It's actually a lot overall height, a lot more. So you are going to hit your head on it. So just don't get that. Okay. If you don't get a hood, you can install fire suppression correctly. I'm also going to put, I put it later in there, but you will not be able to install your own fire suppression system. You need an actual license and you need training, and you actually need training for every type of system out there. So the most common one you've probably heard so far is Ansel, Pyrocam, the Kitty Fire system. There's another one, Lehavit, and then there's one other one. I can't remember its name, but there's a fifth one out there that I've heard that's very common. So you're gonna have to hire someone in your local city or county to actually install that system for you, and it's gonna run you at least 2.5 to 3 grand. Enclosed trailers, constant air exhaust. This is why you can't fuck this up. Okay, you have all this cooking equipment going off. It's more than likely going to be gas cooking equipment, just because electrical is not practical in any real sense. So you're getting a lot of carbon dioxide, which is you can detect, but carbon monoxide is the one that's very poisonous. So if you don't have a hood in there, you're burning up all the oxygen in the air, and you're going to start to suffocate. You're going to get carbon monoxide poisoning, and you can get someone killed. And then this one is the biggest one. Legally, this is what you need. You need 6 inches on either side of your hood. So let me just do a food truck hood, and then let's just see if there's a picture that I can show you. So here's a good one. And then also the reason why I'm making this video is because I can't use pictures legally, but you can make a video and you can look at pictures online, which is kind of like the gray area. This one is a little on edge. Actually, this might even be against regs. But what I'm saying is that you need 6 inches on the left and 6 inches on the right of the equipment. So wherever this edge is right here on your last piece of equipment, until you get over to here, it has to be 6 inches to wherever the slope is. If you're less than 6, you're against regulation. I've seen where some places they're very relaxed. So if you, I just do the 6 inches. That's legally going to make you proper, and it's also just safer that way. But I've seen cases where people can do 2 to 4 inches and then they can get away with it. Not that it's right, or what happens, I have heard a few cases, very few because I don't talk to too many people, but maybe the first year or two of inspections, that inspector never caught it, or they just let you get away with it. But then 2 years down the road, finally an inspector who has to stick up their ass. Um, in this case, but legally, but just stick to the topic. Legally, you're against it, so you were lucked out for a year or two, and then a regulator inspector who came in who actually knows the regulation came in and found out that you were against regulation and you got to get your hood replaced, which is several $1,000s for the hood, and then you have to get the fire suppression replaced. So you're all in probably around 5 to 6 grand to get that changed out. Um, so yeah, you're gonna want to stick to that. I'm just putting just the caveat: always check with the local jurisdiction, because, like, I think like of all the places in the U.S., I think like 95% of them all stick to the 6 inch rule on both sides. Um, but I think there's a few places that have it a little bit different. And then just for fun, just so you know, right here, it's only for the cooking equipment. So you have this food warmer over here. So this is an electric food warmer, where you put your pan of cooked food. That doesn't count. So you can actually keep that um, farther out. So if you have that along with your line, if you put on the outer edge, it doesn't count. So you could put this all the way up against the edge, and then you can have this cooking equipment moved over a little bit more. Still, don't quote me on that, but with the jurisdictions that are most common, because I live in Florida, so the rules here are pretty relaxed. California, you like literally they are so strict. You have to have everything perfectly labeled. Everything has to have UL listings, and their documentation is crazy. You literally have to list almost everything in your trailer and where it came from and who the brand is it UL listed and all that. Florida's way more relaxed than them. It's just kind of be like, hey, I don't really care about all that stuff. It's just get some good equipment in there and make sure it's installed correctly. Um, but that's more on the side of inspectors, because my main thing is I just want you to have a safe working environment with things properly installed. Um, but California is very strict on it. Like it has to be literally down to the dot. For example, you have this walk-in space from left to right. So California, typically they say you have to have a 30-inch aisle. And then that means you need to get the larger 8.5 wide trailers. You can't use the 6 or 7 footers like a lot of people do here in Florida. It saves about 1,000 to 2,000 per trailer. So a lot of people with smaller trailers, you only have like 20, 22 inches. So it's a tight fit in there. I might cut out. So what I was trying to say is that there's that aisle space in California. Is at that point, if you have a sandwich prep table directly across from your griddle, both of those are very depth like they're very deep pieces of equipment. Therefore, at that point, you might only have a 15 to 22-inch aisle space. And when you come to California, that is a big no-no. But in Florida, it's a lot more relaxed. Where most of the time you'll have like the larger 30-inch, but when you have the smaller gaps, it's not an issue. I think one of the counties down in Miami or Tampa, has rules like that, but most of the counties here in Florida don't have little rules like that. And then California, you're required to have, not including this door right here, and then you also have your regular window for serving people. You have to have an escape hatch on top of that, so a third exit. So that's all the kind of things they have over in California. So moving on, get shit done right. I just want to make sure you guys are safe and compliant. Concession hood, just so you know, concession hoods remove the smoke, grease, and cooking fumes. And when you say fumes, that's actually like the exhaust. So the carbon monoxide, the depleted oxygen, bring in more clean air for you so you don't fucking die. And then it does help a little bit with temperature, because without that, aside from your equipment not working properly and causing carbon monoxide poisoning, is, yeah, it just regulates temperature, brings in some fresh air, and that. So I already went over type 1 versus type 2. Just reiterating again, you want to actually have the good shit. Size and space, all of y'all typically 4 to 10 feet. Custom sizes, Hoodmart actually does custom sizing. I don't think you ever would need one, but if you needed a special 2 foot or 3.5 foot, um, anything by half foot or literally exact measurements, they can build it for you. But typically everything comes in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 foot sections. Not a big issue. And then you're gonna want to have your exhaust fan. And then when you're doing it, most of these ones where they come in exhaust hood sets, see, so it's paired together already. So it says, oh, okay, here, wait, let me go back over to that. I want to show you the right pricing. Concession hoods. That stuff is a little on the expensive side. Boop, boop, boop. So 5 foot, you're starting out small trailer. So it's 1887 for both the actual hood itself and the exhaust fan. So you want to pair them together, because as you get to the larger hoods, you actually need more CFMs. And then in the case of Hood Mart, once you get to the 8 and 10 footers, I think you actually have 2 fans. So you keep the same exact fan size, but you actually have 2 of them on top of your trailer. So you want to make sure to pair those up correctly in order to do have the correct CFMs. Obviously, you can do anything that you want if you want to save a buck or two, but I do not recommend risking lives. And also the fact, and not even lives, but say you have a really good inspector and they found out that you did that kind of bullshit, then you're out even more money, because now you're stuck with the fan you can't use and you have to go buy the proper fan. So just do the right thing the first time, people. Fire suppression, just reiterating, you can't. Ooh, look at my mistake. Install your own fire suppression system. You have to go in training, and depending on which system you want it. If say you did go to the full fucking thing, you got to go get training. Then you got to go for your license. I looked at it before. I think it might even take several years to get your full license. Like you have to be like an apprentice, and then after that, then you have to go to the individual system, because you got overall fire training. Then you have to go to individual system company and get specialized training for their specific system, and then that's more money, and that's several months of your time, let alone being able to get the parts. So all in, you're going to spend at least double the amount of money just to get the training. For like maybe half, like same amount of money for the training, but like including all your time that you wasted for it, it's equivalent to about double what you just paid to pay someone else. Because we're going to get to the price, because fucking hell, the fire suppression systems are expensive. Everyone's going to know about Ansel, and Ansel is the most well-known brand, and it's about 3 to 5 grand fully installed. Because I've seen the parts prices alone; they are, oh, there's a reason why it's 3 to 5 grand. That stuff is expensive. And then Pyrochem, which is also owned by Ansel, and both of them are owned by, I believe, if I remember correctly, the parent company is called Johnson Controls or something similar to that. They actually own both Ansel and Pyrochem. I think they bought out the other one or something. But they had the Pyrochem version, same exact company for the parts, but you can get the parts significantly cheaper. Therefore, you can get the actual system installed cheaper. I'm gonna put that up a little bit because I three yeah no 3 to 3.5 is more realistic for Pyrocam. I've heard of the Kitty systems. I think I've seen one or two installed. I don't know too much about them other than at least the price parts. They were really cheap, so I would assume they're probably in the $2,000 range. Let me just put 2.5 to 3. And then the Lee Hobbit, I've heard of these very recently. They're very new to the U.S. I think they've only been around for 4 or 5 years. They're from Israel, so if you hate Israel, don't go with them, I guess. But I think they're really pretty much only on the East Coast right now. They've only got like 40 or 50 people in the whole U.S. who actually like work on these systems. I don't think they have anything in California. So if you were to be located in like Florida, Kentucky, over Georgia, this kind of region, then yes, if even if you order your Lee Hobbit system, one, you'd have to find someone else to install it for you in a local area. But if they do have the Lee Hobbit, they should be significantly cheaper than these other guys, so they'll be the low price leader. And it's up to you. I don't know if they're a good brand or anything about them. It's just I've seen their pricing is pretty low. So 1 to 5,000. Yeah, that's correct for hoods for budget, and other different things. So regulations, CFM is a big part. The 6 inches on both sides, and then exhaust rating. This is a little bit generic for exhaust rating specifications, but it's just being able to connect this to this because there's a mounting bracket and cutting the holes and sealing it correctly using the correct bolts. So you see over here, you got these washers. These are some special remember they're called Garlock. Yeah, you can see the name on it, Garlock washers. Being able to do that correctly, um, you know, and then this almost never happens because the tops of food trucks are really thin, well, food trailers. So it's like just that. It's literally just a piece of metal. So it's like what a quarter inch. The aluminum is typically like 040 or 080, so like a tenth of an inch aside from the tubing. So there's pretty much no gap there. But in rare cases, you might have a lot of insulation, or you got like 2 or 3 inches thick or something there, which never happens. But if it did, then yes, you would have to find a way to install some sort of little metal vent piece to cover that gap. Um, do and then now let's actually get to the specifications of you getting your hood. Here are the three main companies. So let's go with the first guy, which is Hoodmart. This one is overall the easiest. It's not going to be the cheapest necessarily. It depends where you're at. We're going to get to that. But let's say right down the middle is about 6 foot hood. You're going to go here, 1982. That's before shipping. You have the stainless steel wall paneling in the back. If you just want to go with them, it's really easy. You're actually technically paying a little bit more with them because the other way is a lot more work. But if you were to be able to go to a local metals company and you can ask for a piece of stainless steel, if you went through that logistical process, you could probably save before, because I don't know if this actually increases shipping for this particular piece. But you could, instead of paying 240, your two pieces of stainless would be about roughly, at least here in Orlando, Florida, I get to the two pieces of stainless for about 160, and then there's that stainless steel divider, or in this case, the seam strips. You can usually find a place that could get you those things for 40 bucks. So you might save 40 bucks here, but for most of you, it'll probably be cheaper to go with Hoodmart, but shipping later is going to be why you might want to skip out on this. You can get these pre-piped Kitty and Ansel systems. Only thing is you'd still need someone to come, a local fire company, to do final installation. So it's just pre-piping this interior stuff, and then also the pre-piping requires a lot more communication with them because you have to say this is exactly where my equipment's going to be laid out in. And if you don't do that correctly, then you actually have to call a fire company again. They where you have to call to do final installation, but they also have to change out that piping. So that's up to you for this. I've never done it. I never need to because the place where I worked at, we just bought this. We had dozens of systems in the back of the warehouse, and they just installed them as is the way they wanted to because they had the license and everything. Um, so I don't know how well this is gonna work out, but yeah, you can see how the Kitty is significantly cheaper than the Ansel. But remember, this is already $2,000 before final installation, so you have to pay your local fire company another 500 to 600 at least to do the final installation, installing the bottle, and then they have to certify it. Um, so when you're looking at this, let's just skip on these two things and leave it to 1982. I've already added to the cart previously, but at least here in Orlando, because I believe they have a storage, they have a manufacturing place over in Georgia for these hoods, because Hoodmart is also a subsidiary of Nax or something, and then the main Nax company that owns this one is located in Ohio. So I think they maybe have a manufacturing up in Ohio, but there's one down here in Georgia if I remember correctly. So if I want to get this exact thing, just the concession hood and the fan shipped to Orlando, Florida, it's going to add another 300 to 400 to my cost. So for me personally, 2,400 all in. I also did a test case if I were to ship it to New York. Same thing for New York, another 400. So 2,400 all in for these two parts, and it includes these bolts, which is important for when we go over to Ventilation Direct. So in my case, this is a pretty good price. And then if you're on East Coast, that means, hey, if you don't want to go the process of finding the stainless wall backing elsewhere, you probably just want to add this, because this actually isn't half bad for when you're building your own trailer or you're just building one or two. When you get up to scale, say you were running your own food truck company, you're doing 10 or 20, then at that point it's better to go to your local metal company for a fact, and you get the metal yourself, you get the strips separately, and you can do this cheaper. But onesie twosies, no, this is actually a pretty good deal for you. Now, this exact thing, without the wall panels, to shipping these two pieces, because I don't think they have anything over in the West Coast. I did a test case on here. I just used a sample address over in Los Angeles, California. To ship this exact thing here costs $1,100 for shipping to send to Los Angeles. So that means you went from this 1,900 all the way up to 3,100. So at that point, this is not your best option anymore as we move over to Ventilation Direct. So Ventilation Direct is a lot simpler because Hoodmart, they include you can get wall panels and fire suppression, and they just have a lot more accessories and options. But Ventilation Direct is a lot simpler. They don't have as many options, but they are a lot more affordable overall. So 6-foot hood, 30 inches, 6-foot hood here. Now, we have ordered, I've seen these before being installed um, at the company I was working at, is that they got there's a little gotcha on here. Because look, you just see the 2,200 automatically freight included. That's not including the hardware kit. Because if I pull up the hardware kit, it's those bolts that were already included with the Hoodmart. So realistically, this is not 2,200, this is 2,333. So it's that little caveat right there if you did end up ordering from them. But it is the hood plus the fan for 2333. So if you're on East Coast, I would recommend Hoodmark, because you could also buy your wall paneling, and this fire suppression is up to you. I've never done it, so I personally would just call my local fire company because I actually know them, so I already know pricing with them. So maybe this might work out for you for fire suppression. Maybe you might get fucked over. That's up to your discretion. But Ventilation Direct for the country as a whole, they said it somewhere, yeah, free shipping within continental U.S. So it's 2333 for the entirety of the U.S. Um, and I would assume that they probably even say that, like, I've shipped out things. So say I'm shipping something to a major city in your state, that is way cheaper than sending it to some small town in your state. Like they will shipping companies will charge me an extra $100 to $500 to ship it to a small town out in the middle of a state compared to the biggest city in your state, just because it's so remote. I would assume that they would honor this free shipping with continental U.S. even if you are in a very remote town. I do not know that for a fact, but yeah, if you're in any major city in a state, and I'm just gonna say without prior experience, they probably will just ship anywhere for free in the lower 48. So you're at 2,300. So at that point, if you're on the East Coast, Hoodmart makes a lot more sense. And then if you're anywhere else, you'd actually want to go with Ventilation Direct because of that freight included pricing. And now save you, in the case of Los Angeles, over $700 in shipping fees. Only thing you would have to do is now you're gonna have to go to your local metal company and online to get your stainless steel wall panel and seam strips. So that's a small little thing. Now, because you are a person who's looking at building your own food truck or trailer by yourself, you are probably trying to be really dirt cheap. Now, this last one I do not recommend. I think I've only seen one of these hoods before in my life, and then also there's a guy who runs a channel online. He's actually pretty close to where I live. Uh, Poor Man's Food Truck. He actually installed a Vevor hood. Um, so there we go. So if you go down this route, fine, you can do it. I don't trust the Vevor hood because when we go to it, so you see right here with ventilation, you got down here this little grease pan right here and this drain. For the life of me, I even asked Vevor and just looked at their pictures and looked at the Poor Man's Food Truck. Yeah, I guess I haven't seen one of these in real life yet, but it does not come anywhere, as far as I can tell, that little drain pan. And then also this up here with that weird ass tubing that just looks so dumb. I personally cannot trust this. Now, the good thing for you, because you want to be cheap, and I'm guessing this would probably work somewhat for you, is that yes. And then this is just pro pricing. Once you log in, you kind of get this. But oh wait, let me see. Nah, you're probably not going to get it. Yeah, because I spend money here. But the price for you is $823. Okay, so it doesn't come with the fan yet. There is the Vevor ventilation fan. Let me show you what it looks like because it looks like shit. I think it's called exhaust fan. This is what Vevor sells. I've never seen this before in my life before Vevor. I would not trust it ever. So that is up to your discretion. But that apparently that hooks up to this hood. If you literally just want to be cheap as hell and you want to give it a shot, go right ahead. I do not approve of either of these. Um, but this guy made it work. So, eh, you might get by. My thing would be is that I would want you to take a little step up, and it might take you even a little bit extra work. Is that Ventilation Direct does sell their exhaust fans separately. Now the 6 foot hood comes with the 900. This one, the VXD 1000 cubic footer. It said 900. Ventilation Direct's website's a little weird. But say you did end up going with this guy for 822 plus the 900 freight included. So that means your all-in price is 1700 and some change, so 1750. So compared to Ventilation Direct, you are now saving another $400 to $500 depending on whether you need. I don't know if this. It comes with these weird little bolts here, but as far as I remember, these Garlock washers are extremely important. So you might need to end up buying this in addition to the little bolts. Let me see if I can go back to it really quick. Wrong place. Back to here, and then there, and then bolts. I would say to be safer than sorry, you want to get these Garlock washers, just because those are kind of a regulation thing for proper installation. That's up to your discretion. And if you went down that route, as I said here, so this one, ventilation, Vevor, and I don't like it. Hood Mart for your price would be somewhere between 2,300 to 3,000, depending where you're shipping to. Ventilation Direct is significantly cheaper overall for everywhere across the U.S., but Hood Mart is better for the East Coast. Um, and then if you need to be dirt cheap, but you're not going to be buying something off Facebook Marketplace or some local, then I would personally recommend, with no prior experience, the cheap ass Vevor hood, and then go buy the Ventilation Direct fan. See, it's some weird thing with their thing because I actually did put the link here. So now it's a food truck fan at, oh, that's why I put the VXD 12 because you need the VXD 33. Still, see this route, the same thing as the VXD 33 earlier. It says 900 cubic feet per minute rather than 1,000, and it's $50 cheaper. So I don't know what the hell's going on with that. My only problem is with this is that you now have that connection issue between whatever the hell this tube is into that fan. So you probably would end up spending an additional $100 to $200, whether it's time or actual money, to figure out how to connect them together, or going to a local shop, getting custom little duct being made or something. Um, but yeah, I do not recommend the Vivo route. This is not advice on installation. I do not know about the specifics. Do not take my advice. But if I had to be on the cheap, that's what I would personally do if I was building a food truck. And then this is just basic stuff. Got your hood. Da, 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 da. Me just saying over again, hey, I'm not going to tell you how to install a hood. I'd rather you pay someone else to do it. Frank Baltieres and this poor man's food truck have their own hood installation videos. If you are so keen that you need to do it yourself, go watch them. I do not want to be liable, and I am not recommending for you to do anything other than hire a professional, because I'm not gonna live with myself knowing that someone fucked up and dropped it, got seriously hurt, or even died. I doubt you would die, but you could definitely seriously get hurt if you dropped one of these things, and you're gonna need two people to install it. Because I've done some sketchy things in the past, where it definitely needed a 2 or 3 man job, and I've done it on my own. But if I fucked up that time, by the time someone got to me, I would have irreparable damage. Or there was one time I did it while I was completely alone in a warehouse, and that thing fell on me. I might have died. That was scary. I've only done that once or twice in my life, but still, man, I'd really try to limit that. And the hood is one of those things that I would like you to not fuck up and die on. Back. This is just all my junk. This is not my ending credits, because I don't know, you just need that for vlogs. Ready to roll. Just so you know who I am, my name is Henry Carroll. I run Jerkies.com. I currently sell just restaurant equipment, specifically Dukers is my biggest seller that I do right now. So if you want equipment directly from me, go right ahead. And then actually, I will show you the one reason why you'd probably want to go with Dukers, whether you buy from me or someone else, is a typical trailer. You're gonna want to know this just for fun, because this is the end of the video. You can leave now. This is not about hoods anymore. This is because I'm interested in this. Is Southern Trailer Depot is where we bought hundreds of trailers from, and then they kind of got rid of their concession trailers. Like you can still find trailers in here that like have the concession window like this. Um, but like they used to have a section just for concession. Um, let's see where it says interior. All right, so in this case, this one has a nice interior height of 84 inches. If you are going to be on the cheap, just like this guy, if you see the trailer, typically a trailer like this, they're only 6'6". So let me just do enclosed trailer and see if I can just find one that just specifically says that outright. But you'll see once you buy your own trailer. Most trailers, I think that I'm pretty sure I can just take me back to exactly where I'm at. Let's just say you're going, because yeah, you're going to be cheap, so you're going to go with one of these guys. So let's go with the 6x12. I wouldn't recommend anything less than 12 feet. I've seen people get away with 10-foot trailers. I think I even saw an 8-foot once. Damn, that stuff is tiny. Does it say the interior height? This one even says 5'6". So 5'6" is definitely out the book. And one, you gotta be short to be relatively short. 5'6", that's without installing the ceilings and everything. That means by the time you're done with it, the total height of the trailer is gonna be like 5'3", 5'4". I'm not gonna be bending down a trailer all day. I'm 5'10", but you know what? Let's just go on my word. More than likely, I would recommend that if you did get a trailer, it would be more expensive. You get one that have these full 7-foot interior heights. So that's 84 inches. But typically, if you're going to be really on the cheap, you're already going with that V-Roar hood, just like I said. You're probably going to get one that's doesn't have the extended height, so it's going to be 6'6". So that means you have 78 inches. So 6 feet times 12 is about 72 plus the 6, so 78 inches. And I'm going to take off 2 inches for good measure, because one, you need a little bit of space, like a gap. And then also when you put in your plywood ceiling or you put in some flooring, you're going to lose another inch. So you only got 76 inches of usable space. So let's go over here and do a commercial refrigerator. Most of you guys are going to immediately be going over to Webstron. It's not your fault. I don't like their equipment too much, and it kind of breaks down for their internal brand, which is an Vanco commercial refrigerator. But just to show you, is what the hell did they do? Just go to reach your refrigerator. Why isn't it showing the right stuff? So they have two versions here. They have their A19R and their 23R. It's just one has a smaller depth, but both of their heights are the exact same. So when you go down here over to overall height, it is 82 and a half inches. But remember, we're doing with a shortened trailer because you're really cheap. If you got that other one, it doesn't matter too much. You can make it work. But at 76 inches, you are 6 inches too high. And if you, let me find, I can't, I'm not going to spend time to find a picture. We see these casters on the bottom. They're typically either 4 or 5. So even if you took that 82 and a half and took off 5 inches, you are still an inch and a half too tall. So at that point, this would not work for you. And what I saw with poor man, even though I've never talked to him, I've never seen him, even though he lives a little over an hour and a half away from me, is that I think his trailer is one of those slightly smaller heights. But he only has the under counter or the sandwich prep table in there, which you can't get away with that for your first trailer. So you would have a few options. So you would either go with an under counter where you would pretty much pay the same price as a full size refrigerator. Um, Not this one. Pay that much money, man. Did they increase their price? Something's not right. Oh, wait, let me see this really quick. I think I maybe misremembered how expensive under counters are. Ah, shoot. Yeah, they're supposed to be way cheaper. Well, now because you see, this is the Dukers ones I sell for $18.90. Um, Apparently, Advanco's just been raising their price a lot more because typically in the past is that Advanco, their stuff would be $300 to $400 cheaper than Dukers equipment, but it looks like they've just been raising their price. Because look, the 27-inch is only 1,029. Um, I think we're actually just looking because these ones say 8U. Okay, I think it's just because their 48 is missing or something's wrong with their search. Did you see how the 60-inch is 12 inches bigger than the 48, but it's only 1719? That's what I was looking for. Let's just look for the 60-inch just for now. I don't keep looking for that 48-inch. I think they're out of stock or something. So in this case, you can go with this. You don't have that height issue clearance, but typically, and then also you do get the table space. But those things are 30 inches deep, so that takes up a lot of your aisle width. So these ones are just slightly too high. But when you switch over to what I have, which is a D28R, and you're still cutting this really close because I said you had 6'6", so that's 72 plus 6 minus 2, so 76 is right on the edge. You're fucking, this is cutting it close, man. But this actually is kind of true because it's a downside to Duker slightly compared to other brands is that if you go over here and let's compare this correctly because the A19Rs are cheaper variation. Let's switch over to their 23R. And the difference with these is that the 19Rs, it's like 5 inches the less depth, but the A23R is a good comparison. I actually just personally went down the last week to both the Duker's warehouse and then the restaurant store, which sells the Vanco equipment, to actually measure out their total capacity. Because it turns out Duker's is a lot close to their actual total capacity that they market out. So when it says 17.79, I went down there and I took my measurement for realistically what you could really fit in there. My thinking went to like 16.8, 16.9. So there's like zero.8 of an inch that's not really usable space because that's like including every crack and crevice in that upper section. Because let me show you. You can't see, but up here there's the fan, and there's a little bit of space up there, but the fan takes up most of it, like about half. So the thing is that this says 17.79, and Dukers actually tries to do that. And they, for the most part, they actually disclude that fan from their space. So 17.79. Oh shoot, I can't use the A23R because they did not have it in stock. So I did take measurements for this A19R that they had in stock. So their A19R, which technically isn't a full comparison to the D20R, but I also took measurements for their two doors, is that it said 17.3 cubic feet, including that space where that fan is up in the upper section. But when I took my measurements for what's really usable, including some of the cavity space up there, it came out to about 14 and a half. So 2.8 cubic feet of this is not actually usable. So Dukers could have done their marketing. I just keep just zooming in. Um, so where it could have marketed this more around the 18 and a half to 19 range, but then there's actually that fan space that's not actually usable, while Advanco does include that fan space, even though it's truly not usable for any real storage. Um, so this Dukers unit compared to their 23R, which is more comparable because this is actually like in between. It's more than this small unit, but less than the other one. Um, and then you see the big thing, which helps out with food trucks, not for regular commercial kitchens, because actually you are losing that 2 inches. Because this is where this one fits. It's actually only 80 and 3/8, while these ones are 82 and a half. So when it comes to commercial kitchen, technically, yeah, you are actually losing an extra 1 or 2 cubic feet. The Dukers brand actually like their equipment and their warranty and overall quality, but you will actually be paying more for 1 or 2 less cubic feet when comparing it to the other unit, the A23R. And let me just go back really quick. Let me just type in refrigerator. Because it's funny with Advanco what they're doing. So right here, this is a 19 for only 1109, and then the A23R is 1179. For $70 more, you can get a unit that has like 5 extra cubic feet. Let me see. So the other one said 17.9, and then this one says 23. Now remember, I already know without checking because I measured the one of their two-door units is the same thing. Like it, whatever measurement it came out to was like 5 cubic feet less than what they market. So this 23 cubic feet is realistic. I would assume probably closer to 20 to 21. I'm actually taking 2 feet off because that's reality. But whatever you got to do to make the sales to convince people. Because someone would come up here and be like, oh, I could either buy this for a decent amount more money, even though it is overall better quality, and they do a few smaller things. So Dukers, I wish they didn't, but they did, is that they include 1, 2, 3, 4 shelves. The Advanco, they're on the cheaper side, so they only include 3 shelves. And then additionally, the Dukers is a full stainless refrigerator. So the entire inside is all stainless steel, while the Advancos are aluminum in this one, I believe, painted aluminum. So yeah, well, it has aluminum interior, and then the floor is stainless, but all of this right here is all aluminum. So it's a cheaper grade than that, and that's more for long-term use. So in the first 2 years, you're not really going to notice, but when your units last 5 or 10 years, which in most cases, if you look at a bank, it says 3.5 stars, and then once you go down to the reviews, it's just 1 star after 1 star saying my thing broke after 2 fucking years. Their warranty department's pieces of shit and stuff. So look at all these 1 stars and 2 stars. And then you always have those few ones that say, oh, it's great. But overall, what I've heard from other people in my local area, well, I'm going to tell you this much. I have not talked directly to them, but the guys I talked to, the sales guys that I talked to in the past, they would tell me about their customer stories. So you can believe these 1 stars. You can go talk to other people. In fact, a lot of restaurants around here I see the small. None of the big chains ever use Advanco, but a lot of these one-off restaurants, local boba shops, smaller restaurants, a lot of them have Advanco equipment in the back. I need to ask them one day, but it's a little awkward to ask them about equipment. Also because the person I'm talking to, a cashier, probably has only been working there for half a year. They don't fucking know shit. So they're just trying to make a living. So I don't really know, but from what I've heard in the past, yes, Advanco's shit breaks after 2 or 3 years. And then their warranty department will honor it, but they, you've probably had the times where you had to call insurance or the DMV or something. You got to go through so many loopholes to get your things warranted, so it's a big hassle. Duker's equipment is not as bad as them. Their warranty department, I talked to them because I sell compressors on the side and stuff. They're a lot quicker turnaround time. Um, so yeah, every warranty department I ever worked with, any company, um, they're always really annoying. But yeah, so getting back on track is it's just those two things. Why did they make it more? Um, some of it it's purely just because it's a different brand. They charge a different price, and then some of it is actually because it is better unit. Um, yeah, let me just before I get back into that, I just want to say the reason is that we are working with 76 inches. This is 83 and 3/8 with 5.5 inch casters. Even when you take out the casters, it's more like 5. So 80 minus 5 is 75. So you are really goddamn tight on your trailer, but you should theoretically be able to fit a Duker's refrigerator. And I've seen that in the past because sometimes some of the trailers that were worked on were customer provided trailers because they decide to buy one and then they decide to pay for someone else, most specifically us, to install it. Or they just wanted that specific size trailer because they wanted to be cheap to save a few $100. Um, one of two things would ever happen. Either the whatever we put on the ceiling would actually have to be like cut out just to give them that extra half inch, for other pieces of equipment, or you would throw in a Duker's piece and say, God damn it, we literally can't fit anything else in there. You take the casters off the unit, you'd fucking even take out, sometimes they would cut out a little bit of the flooring just to get you that extra half inch, whether it's the ceiling or the flooring, just to fit in equipment. And that happened with Valpro equipment, which is another brand, because they're also full height like the Advancos, just to make them fit. In that case, the Dukers would actually be a good replacement, where it's, you got a little more leeway. You actually have less, a little bit less space, but at least you get a full size unit in there. Oh, and then I saw in here in Vancouver, there is one other route I want to show you if they still sell it. There we go. The only reason why I would say no to this, is if you actually need a lot of refrigeration space, because this thing is tiny. 11 cubic feet marketed, so that means you only get 10 cubic feet. It's only 63 inches tall, so 17 inches shorter than this guy. 23 depth, because this one is also a full size depth, so 30 and a quarter realistic space, not including the door. And then this one total depth, including the door, is 23. So you only got 20 inches of usable space. So if you did end up going with that, um, with the Savanco unit and paying pretty much full price, it's only like $100 cheaper than this guy. Yeah, you could get rid of the hassle. Um, that would come with the unit, but this is a really small unit, so if you need the space, it's probably not going to work out too well. But at least you would guarantee not have a height issue. You do have a semi full size refrigerator, and you would have storage space on the top. So that is an alternative to going with Dukers. You just have to deal with the fact that it's a Vanco brand. Also, full disclaimer, just remember, with the Vanco brand, you only get 30-day limited warranty. Um, well, it says right here, yeah. So in a temporary structure, food trucks and automobile, you get 30-day. And also apparently it says residences now. That's actually nice. Because every other brand, Dukers, Valpro, True Refrigeration, True has its own individual residential line that's separate. But any other brand, including Dukers, if you're going to buy this for your house, there is no warranty. That's it. Um, but yeah, so that's just the thing about a lot of these companies. Apparently, Avanco actually does do a 30-day limited warranty for home. I don't really know how you can fuck up installing a refrigerator. It's just put it in place and plug it in the wall. So I don't know what the hell you could do. Maybe it just came damaged. Um, but yeah, so Dukers would be your biggest bet to maximize space. Then your secondary thing would to be switch to that teeny tiny Avanco refrigerator or something like that. There's only one thing that's similar, whether it's a Dukers unit or something, is that it's not good for actual like keeping your food cold. But a lot of merchandisers, if you want to go that route, including Dukers merchandisers, are also at a smaller height than typical. So that one's 83 and 7/8. Let me see. Let me go open my Dukers merchandisers. So I'm just gonna stick to the cheapest one really quick, just for simplicity. But this one is, oh wait, 80. Okay, never mind. It's just Dukers, or because Dukers decided to do the 80-inch. Never mind. Um, I saw that. Which one was it? It was the weird Asper brand. You're not going to be able to buy Asper easily. I don't know. Asper has something similar to the smaller Banco ones. Um, so just scratch the merchandiser. I actually never did the full research on that. I've seen food trucks where they put a merchandiser there instead. I guess the customer just wanted a merchandiser. I thought it was a space issue because I would see the merchandiser, but they would never actually have a regular refrigerator in it. So I thought it was a height issue or a sizing issue. I think something about that still might be true, but I can't pinpoint it right now. And then let's move back over to Dukers just for fun, because I doubt anyone's listening to this point. But if you're still chugging along, why not? Grab a beer, and yeah, let's get to it. So, Dukers for some parts, yes, they're great and all. Um, their pricing is a little bit more. I wish they could bring it down just a little bit. Um, But the things that make it more expensive, aside from it just being their brand name, is that they decide to include 4 shelves. Because in this case of the Denko Fine, you say you wanted the 4 shelf. Well, you have to pay an additional $72 for said shelf because they want to charge an arm and a leg. And the funny thing is that with the Duker stuff, because when I ship out the stuff, no one's ordered an extra shelf, but I just have the price on my parts list because I sell replacement parts. Is that before shipping, these shelves from Dukers are only my price to sell to you is like I think $30 right now. It got raised a little bit in recent times, but it used to be like 25, $22 last year. So if you wanted a fifth or sixth shelf, it's $30 per shelf. And if you're ordering it at the same time as the freezer, then I just ship it with the freezer, or I'll eat the cost. It's fine if that warehouse happens to not have the shelf in stock at the same time, and I'll ship it out from the main California warehouse or FedEx from somewhere, because I can just pay flat rate shipping. $15 is not a big deal for eating that kind of cost. But it's just that small thing. So Advanco, they're doing this on purpose because they can. Because my shelves, if I were to sell you my shelf to go into an Advanco unit, it won't work because the size difference is like half an inch, but that's going to make it not work. So um, total width. So that's like you are limited to the Advanco wire shelf. You can't buy another brand. Maybe there is another brand out there that is the exact same size, but I know my Dukers brand cannot fit inside the Advanco brand and vice versa. So yeah, say you wanted to do my Dukers. 2285 is including liftgate. So I will ship anywhere in the continental US. If you are not in the continental US, I will have to get you specialized shipping because it's gonna go outrageous for me. But 2285, I will ship to your address with liftgate. So you're good to go. Now this one over here, let's say you did go with the plus member price. Now you're 1109. Once you go to your cart, you're going to need liftgate because you don't have a loading dock wherever you're at, probably. Now, if you do, great, you can save the money. But with Webstaurant, it's $55 for liftgate or 75. Let's go with 55. I think it might be a little higher. So you add 55 to this. So you're at 1165 plus the shelf. So you're at 1230. There's nothing you can do about the aluminum. And also with Webstaurant, I'm just gonna say your thing is probably gonna break long before you care about the aluminum. So that's a small thing just with cleaning. If you make a lot of messes, is that this guy with the Dukers, you're gonna have this unit for 10, maybe even as long as 15 years before you replace it. So when you're doing these monthly or quarterly cleanings, it's gonna be a lot easier because stainless steel is just easier to clean overall. It doesn't pit. Overall, it doesn't rust. There are ways to make things rust, even if it's stainless steel, but in general, your stainless steel will never rust. I'm going to put the exceptions. If you are over on the coast by the beach and you have all that salty air, then yes, things like that can make your thing rust. But that wouldn't change anything between these two. In fact, it would actually make aluminum rust even more quicker. So this would still be better than environment. Um, and then much smaller thing. Let me actually do this really quick. So they got the clips just for my what do I call it? Okay, their price isn't too bad for gaskets. Okay, because I knew they screwed you over with that shelf. Their gasket price isn't too bad. It actually isn't bad at all. It's the same as Duker's. Like my Duker's price after including shipping is that exact same price. But the warranty thing is where I care about more about longevity. Is that if you want to switch over and you want to do A19R HC replacement compressor, this is where what the fuck did they just drop all their pricing? Ooh la la. What? Oh, that's for something else. That's why I was like, is it? See, this is for some other ice unit. That's why it's so cheap. They literally butt fuck you on your compressor. So say you did get an Advanco unit for 1109, whatever. All the other things don't even matter at all. But you're putting this into your food truck. So that means you only have your 30-day warranty. And that's for everything. You're using this thing 6 months down the road, even 2 years down. Let's say you even got it working for 2 whole years down the road. You only paid 1,200, let's say 1,200 all in because 55 for liftgate and whatever, just 45 bucks for other whatever. Who knows? The shelf, whatever. 2 years down the road, your compressor breaks. Or I can pull up the evaporator too, which is also expensive. Not this expensive, but it's like 300 or 400, if I remember correctly. Some of the units, some of the I was doing some research, like one of the units, they actually sell it at a reasonable price, like 150, 200 bucks for the evaporator. But then all the other ones are like 350, 400. But the compressor is one of the most likely things to break on your unit. So you're like, okay, let me replace my compressor. You call up a tech. Hey, I need my compressor. Can you come take a look at my unit? Okay, the tech will pay $700 for the compressor. And they're going to charge you at least 150, maybe even upwards of 300 to replace it. Taking it, if they're really cheap tech, maybe your buddies with someone, they'll charge you 150 for the cost of all that. So your cost is 750 for that compressor. And that's not guaranteed to get your unit all the way up to spec. Maybe there's even some other issues. You got some leakage somewhere in your evaporator or something. At that point, you're already putting in at least 750, probably even closer to $1,000 to just replace the compressor. At that point, you might as well just buy a new unit because it's only a $200-300 difference. Because that's fucking insane. Um, and then because this is such a long video, I don't think everyone will watch it. But that's fucking crazy. Because these compressors should not be that much. Because you see how they completely wiped off the name here? Um, right here where it just says Vanco. And then actually in this case, this is funny because they fucked up right here and they actually left the name on this exact one. Because a lot of these other ones just show that first picture and doesn't actually show the other detail. So they want to charge 700 for that compressor. Parts Town is also one of those. The big thing about Parts Town, see it says out of stock, but also if they did, the big thing about Parts Town is that they could say they get you same day, next day they ship 7 days a week. That's why they're like $1 billion company. But you see this right here, Embraco for 350 at eBay, or let's go over to Kitchen All. Now, luckily with you, I think this has happened because I've sold a few units to my Duker's compressors over to people, and I ask them, like, oh, what brand are you doing? They actually say, oh, I'm replacing one on an Evanco unit. Um, but you see this actually makes it better for you where you might want to replace your unit. But because of this one picture, which you're lucky with this guy, because let me just go over here just to show you because I'm not bullshitting you. Let's just open up these three. See, it's the one picture. It just says Evanco. You have no idea what fucking brand this is. This one shows it. Okay, so some of these do show it. No, but this other one doesn't show it. So in this particular case, they kind of messed up with their picture because they don't tell you anywhere. But then someone added this picture a while ago. They probably made a new rule in a company. They didn't update everything correctly. Is that's the real thing, and it's 700 bucks. Turns out Kitchen All sells that exact same thing in every way. Only thing is they have just a weirder looking picture. I don't think they actually took a picture of a unit. They probably got some stock photo. But usually, with most places, because I order replacement parts all the time for places, is that if it says the right number, it's probably correct in all the ways that matter. EMX 317MU, and then also this stuff is just generally included with every compressor you buy anywhere. So there's no reason for me personally, from experience. With other things, maybe it might be different, but for compressors, when you buy one, it just comes with all these parts regardless. Because look, just so you see, these are the feet right here, and the feet right here are already in the picture. So that's already number one. Two, who really gives a fuck about these bolts? I mean, you can get that at a hardware store, $5. Which one do you want to use? Go down to the hardware store and spend $5 on bolts, not even, or pay an extra $350 for the guaranteed thing. And then the starter in this unit right here, you already see this is including the unit, and then the starter is probably somewhere on this thing. You just can't see it right now. But you already halved your cost from 700 to 350, and this one also has free shipping. So this is where Advanco gets you. This is where most people don't really know jack shit about this, and that's where they make a killing. Because most people just, I've heard it a few times, and people just say, if your Advanco unit ever breaks, just throw it out and get a new one. Because honestly, that's probably your best bet because of shit like this, where they're trying to make it as hard as possible for you to replace your unit at an affordable cost. Because it's, you might not have thought about it this way, but if Kitchenall is selling it for $350 with free shipping, they're not giving this to you for free. That means they're still making money on this, which means Webstaurant is doing this because they can, and they are not only making at least $350 profit, they're making that amount of profit plus whatever this guy was making profit on. And since Webstaurant is such a large company, that means they are, ooh, man, they're making a, every time they sell one of these, they are making buku money. It's not like, oh, I'm making a little 10, 20% profit. No, this is like I'm making a 200% profit. So I think they're a bunch of dicks in that regard. I actually do own one of their two burners. I actually even bought one of their meat slicers. I've bought a lot of stuff personally for myself from Webstaurant. But when it comes to their warranty kind of shit, this is a dick move to the customer. Because actually, no, I'm all for gas cars. I'm all for, I'm not an environmentalist, but I hate being wasteful. That's it. I hate being wasteful. And what they are incentivizing right here is saying, throw out your fucking unit. That's what this is incentivizing, and I hate it. Because they could be selling at the 350. Because Kitchenall is not a big company relative to Webstaurant. Webstaurant is the biggest restaurant company. They are worth billions. Kitchenall, I think they're worth, they might be in the tens of millions right now for revenue, remember correctly. So the thing is that means they're, what the fuck. But yeah, at least they left this one photo in, and you can actually infer it through here, and then go and actually pay a reasonable price over here. Um, and this is them still taking their profit. They're providing you a service they deserve a chunk of the change, but they're not being dicks about it. This is. But yeah, if I were to recommend a unit, if you really have to be dirt cheap, go right ahead with Advanco. Then my next tier would be Dukers, because personally I sell Dukers. The main competitor to Dukers would be Atosa. If you know about Atosa and like Atosa. Um, Atosa, I've heard, I think they just got, some of their better because I've heard that their original units years ago were pretty good. But in the last 2 years, I've been hearing it more often. It might just be people who just don't know what the hell they're talking about. But in recent experience, I've heard a few more. When I say a lot, I mean I've heard 2 or 3 people over the course of the last year and a half say Atosa has become more shit. Um, don't trust I don't know, whatever the fuck. One of them was saying shit. The other one's like, oh, their stuff is just shoddy, whatever, just about their. And then also, I heard one of them about their parts department. They're just being a pain in the ass to them. I don't know. Maybe it's just bad experiences. Maybe they have gone to shit. But Dukers and Atosa are pretty damn similar in overall quality. Tosa, as far as I know, has a lot more variety. So they have a lot more specialty units, like a miniature sandwich prep table, like literally, like I think like 11 inch. Let me do it. Tosa Slim refrigerator. Because Dukers is a lot more simple. You know, they just have the regular refrigerators, regular sandwich prep tables. But like a Tosa, overall, all their equipment is more expensive than Dukers. Not significantly, but like an extra $100 to $300 per unit than Dukers. But they also have these really skinny ass refrigerators and freezers and stuff. So if you're looking for something specialty like this, then Atosa has your options. But overall, I like Dukers a lot more. And then obviously I make money from them, so can't badmouth my guys. Oh yeah, the only thing I will say about Dukers is why I started. This is going to make things a lot more confusing because my name Derpies didn't, it's kind of confusing to people. So I did end up making look, it's pretty much my same website, but now it's called Sous Chef Depot because people just relate more. The Dukers warranty parts department, because this is the main thing about you guys. Say your refrigerator does break. Let's say you're even lucky, whatever, it breaks like on a Monday, the slow day or something, and you need the part. You can make, and you want everyone wants the part as soon as possible. But with Dukers, it might take a whole day. So you get it, you find out on Monday. You might not be able to order the part until end of day Tuesday, and then it might not ship out till Wednesday or again. Like I was saying, one of the parts guys I talk to, because whenever I place my orders, because I do a lot of business with him, is he's really good about this stuff. So I can actually get things same day. So as long as I place my own personal order before 3 p.m. every day, um, if it comes out of his warehouse, then it'll ship out same day, latest next day, just because it was so late in the day. Um, but for me, it's really quick turnaround, and that's why I sell compressors out on my own now, with my own company and stuff. Um, but for your personal experience, say you were under warranty with Dukers, you go to their website, you call their warranty department. I've heard this a few times with people. The thing is, from the time you call them and they get you the finalized quote, or they have to confirm information for your warranty and all that, um, it's just a little on the slow side. So if your unit breaks on Monday, my for me, I could, if it happened early Monday, I could literally get that unit shipped out sometimes as early as Monday. So bam, ship out same day. Now I just have to wait 1 or 2 days for it to get to me, depending where it's coming from. And then also because I'm in Florida, um, I have a warehouse right here in Lakeland. So if I really need be, I could just go from Orlando to Lakeland, and bada bing, bada boom, I can get it same day, as long as I drive there before 5 when they close. So it's like an hour commute for me. But for you, if you're not as lucky to be this close to a warehouse, and they do have a warehouse over here. Yeah, see those ones. But they have the warehouse in Illinois, California, New Jersey, and Florida. Now, those are the main ones, and there's also one in Texas that carries parts. They have one in Georgia. It doesn't carry any parts, only equipment. So if you are not really close to one of these warehouses, you might get the order placed. So it happens Monday. The order is actually finalized Tuesday morning. Then it might ship out Tuesday sometime. Say really bad case scenario, it might not be their fault. It might be the shipping company, because sometimes the shipping companies, it's their fault. They'll get the unit, whatever. So it might not get out till Wednesday, and you won't get your unit till Thursday or Friday. Let's say Friday if you're a few states away from your closest warehouse. So you went 5 whole days without your part, let alone getting it fixed, because I have to call the tech back in. So it might have taken 6 to 7 days to get your unit fixed. Um, so with the TOSA, actually, I was just saying just how that worked with Dukers. At least with something like Advanco, you would pay out the ass for that unit, or you'd go to Kitchenall. But typically they're a little bit faster. Now, if you're ordering directly through me with the Dukers, I push them really hard, because I do it so often with them. Because it's wasting my time. In order the longer they take to process an order, the more time I have to spend on it, rather than trying to go out and make sales or just do whatever I want, live my life. So I've got it down fine tuned. But when it comes to you, you got your Dukers unit. It might take as long as that long. Um, and I'm just saying that's the worst case scenario, because that happened to me like once before, once or twice, but I made sure that never happened again. My typical experience day to day is I get my unit shipped to my customer or to me, because sometimes I ship it to myself, 3 days from the day I order. Um, but in the case of something like this means you got a unit down. That's affecting your business. You want this thing tomorrow, today, kind of thing. Obviously, you're in Florida, that is possible because of our warehouse here in Florida. If you're in New Jersey or any state next to it, then that's also possible. But if you are anywhere here in the middle of the U.S., then that's not really a thing. So Texas, Florida, any state next to New Jersey, and then they have two warehouses here in California. So if you're in California, and then let's just say Nevada and Arizona. Let's just say California, because this is fucking far as shit to go out of these places. If you're any one of those major states, Texas, Florida, California, New Jersey, or any states really close to New Jersey, you're good to go. It's no problems. You get it next day. That's next day or 2 days. So it's not too big of an issue. But if you're out here a lot farther away, it might take upwards of a week for you to get your unit, just depending on communication issues, carrier issues, and then just shipping time. Um, and that's where Webstaurant and then also the True brand are just overall a lot better, because the True brand, they charge out the ass, but their parts department is amazing. There are plenty of people and distributors all over the country who just have the parts available. You will be paying double the price for that part, but for a lot of companies that get to the point where you're having the True refrigeration and the higher end Charleston and all those major cool brands, um, paying an extra $500, even $1,000 for a compressor is not as big of a deal as the amount of money you're going to get from your customers that day or the next day, because you're running Michelin star restaurants, or you're running a restaurant where you got hundreds and hundreds of customers. Well, that $1,000, that extra paying an extra $1,000 to get your compressor fixed tomorrow is cheaper than losing out on your customer basis for the next 3 to 5 days. Um, So with Dukers, I've been working with them, just like with every company I work with. You probably even work for a company yourself. A lot of companies are really slow at progress. So this time next year, so let's say beginning of 2026 or maybe end 2026, that shouldn't be the case anymore. I should get my thing fully set up, and then I personally, if they don't find someone else to do it, I will personally like stock the most common items here in Florida, personally in my warehouse. And at that point, you will, if you really need your unit as soon as possible, it's not under warranty, and you just need the part. You don't even fucking care about warranty. It's just, I need my part tomorrow. I will be shipping on weekends next year, and that means you might pay $300, $400 for next day shipment, but that is better for you than waiting 3 to 5 days. Even if the warranty comes out to where they give you a compressor for free and you're still under the 3 years, so you get parts for free. So that means 100% of the cost is free, but you still lost 3 to 5 days of time. I'm gonna fix it, so at least if it's not a warranty issue and it's just a you fucking broke it kind of issue, um, that if you think that getting uptime is more important than waiting 3 to 5 days, and you're willing to pay double or triple what that compressor should have been if you're willing to wait, then that is an option. As it stands right now, that really isn't an option. I gotta go because it's the weekend and I'm recording this video. Sayonara.